Committee. If everyone could stand and for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we'll get going.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. We're going to do introductions today. And again, if we could just go around and just say, let's see, what do we want to ask today? I'm sorry, it's been a really crazy week and we didn't get a chance to prep because I had jury duty last week. So how about if you did anything for Car-Free Week? So just who you are, what organization you represent, and what, if anything, you did for World Car-Free Week. And we'll start at this end.
My name is Alec Redmond. I'm with Pittsburgh County Public Works. I work with traffic engineering in the transportation section. And I stayed home. The name.
That works.
Carolyn Seckham, I'm the Transportation and Planning Manager with the West Shore Alliance. I was in Baltimore for the first part of Great Week, so I was kind of walking around that city and exploring it.
Nice. Did you get on any public transit?
I didn't. I was in a smaller neighborhood outside of the city, so
Neat,
very
neat.
walkable.
Okay, we'll go back.
Hi, good morning. Ashley Anderson at Vision Advisors, representing AI2 Bay here on this committee. I think I would stay home. So I guess technically that's Car-Free for you.
And if we don't have a name tag for you, we'll have to get one made.
I just didn't want to be disruptive.
Oh, no worries. They're just, okay.
Avoid USF Cutter. Go with the question.
Who you are, who you represent, and what you did for World Car-Free Week, if anything.
Okay, so I represent University of South Florida, and I was at the Car-Free Day in Tampa. It was excellent and very well attended. Got to see a lot of great people. Got to see the kids riding bikes, so that was awesome.
Catherine Coyle, I represent Urban Institute, and I stayed home and cleaned my car. Basically, that day and that whole weekend. And then I have to drive to Plant City for work, so I had to drive. Yeah, they're biking, that was not enough.
No, not to Plant.
Not yet.
I'm David Hay. I'm the representative from the Planning Commission. And I did work remote that week, some days, but then I also crossed 301 to get to the Winn-Dixie. So I actually
Wow.
on a crosswalk.
And
so
it's all about it.
Yeah,
crossed 301.
Still one. I'm Lynn Hertak. I am a city councilwoman. I am the chair of this committee and also a huge advocate for modes that don't involve a car. During World Car-Free Week, I did a diet of my car and I did take the bus and I did bike a lot more, but also worked from home. So that does count, believe it or not.
I'm Connor Tramos McDonald. I'm in the staff liaison from the TPO for World Car-Free Week. On the weekend, we went to New York City, so no cars, just transit there. So that was
Press.
Take the train.
Oh, I also put the signs for World Car-Free Day. Yes.
Yeah, I think we're very hard.
Yeah.
All of them midtown, downtown.
Yeah.
Karen Kress, representing the Tampa Downtown Partnership. I was on the coordinating team for the overall event and then in charge of the downtown site where we had Tia. And if I could have put in a plug as part of the Transit Now Tampa Bay Advocacy Group, we're planning a bus and brew, putting the pub in public transportation for this Friday in Seminole Heights using the Roadways. So if you want more information, please let me know.
My name is Rebecca Hessinger. I represent the county's Community Infrastructure Planning Department. And for World Car-Free Day, I worked from home that week and I walked to Publix and got my groceries.
Excellent.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Omar Pirzada. I represent HART on the Livable Roadways Committee. And for Car-Free Week, I went on a few long walks. I didn't drive at all on Sunday. Just kind of enjoyed life. So, yeah.
Hi, good morning. My name is Lori Bellinger. I'm with the Hillsborough County Public Schools. on that weekend, every week, I try to do what I can, which is combine trips and do what I can to, minimize driving. But unfortunately, as apparently most of you guys, I'm not able to work remotely, so I wish we could. Even like you said, one day makes a huge difference.
Well, but combining trips too, I mean, there's a million different ways, and I think people are creative. Good morning. We're just introducing ourselves and saying what we did for World Car Free Week.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah, yeah. No, you came at the right time.
I'm Emily Hinsdale. I'm on the board of Sidewalk Stompers and Walk by Tampa for World Car Free Day.
Yeah.
I was coordinating the Kiddical Mass bike ride led by Lynn Hertak, and we had a great turnout. A lot of enthusiastic kids. Also were able to give away some bikes and free helmets. I don't know what people have been saying.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. And so do we have any folks online?
Yes, we have Frank Kugenhauer from
Okay.
Kansas City.
Hey, I just wanted to say that at the last meeting, y'all polled what we were going to do for that weekend, and I remember I was really confused, and my answer had to do with it was our anniversary coming up. I didn't know where we were going to eat or what we were going to eat, and I misunderstood. I thought you were saying carb free, as in carbohydrate free. So now I fully understand.
Yeah.
You can't do that for your anniversary. No.
No, I'm sure we had a baked potato in there somewhere. Next year I'll know.
Great. Anyone else online?
Not Stacy.
Okay, wonderful. So do we have a quorum?
We do, at 11, we do have.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all again. I just want to say thank you for coming in person. It really does make a difference. And as we just have this conversation, I feel like I kind of even know you a little bit better. And that's the whole point. Break the ice, just kind of be able to have these great conversations. I don't see anyone in here that I don't know. So unless you all have any public comment. Okay, we will move forward then. If everyone has had a chance to look at the August 20th and September 17th minutes, if anyone has any changes, say so. If not, if someone can make a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion from Kathy. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from David. Anybody else? Any comments? Anything? Okay, everyone in agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, ayes have it unanimously. And we are starting with a status report. So we have 3 status reports today. The first one is the comprehensive operations analysis update from Hart. Oh, and our very own.
That's me, yeah.
Oh, that's even better. I love it when folks who are on the board talk to us because y'all know what we want.
Exciting times.
We heard this presentation at the TPO, so this was really, I think this is going to be a very interesting conversation.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Nice to meet you all. I really know all you guys pretty much. My name is Omar Cruzada. I am part staff. I also sit on the LRC as our representative. We also have Jesus Garcia, also part staff here to be online as well. And I'm here to present on the 2026 proposed service changes. So Hart is currently reviewing the entire bus network right now, and we are considering route changes to be implemented in summer of 2026. These proposed adjustments were designed to be cost neutral, meaning that overall we are reallocating our resources to make Hart more efficient and productive overall. We are also underway on a public outreach period where we are accepting feedback about these proposed changes as well. So just for context, since July of last year, we have been conducting what we call a comprehensive operational analysis, also known as a COA. It is a full review of the Hart system with the goal of identifying strengths, weaknesses, and making short-term improvements where we can. This includes realigning routes, adjusting frequencies, reallocating resources between routes to hopefully enhance the quality of service for most of our riders where we can. These improvements are designed to be cost neutral, meaning that this isn't a cut We are not trying to spend additional money or save additional money necessarily, but we're instead trying to, look at the whole system and reinvest resources to help enhance our operations overall and grow ridership where we can. It is best practice to conduct a COA every 5 to 7 years or so. This COA in particular is exciting. It is important because it is the first one since COVID that we have done. And we want to ensure that the system is still serving the entire community in the best way possible. So while the COA is primarily about the short term, that you see on the screen there, we also have what is called a transit development plan, or a TDP. And that lays out more so the 10-year vision of HART, how we'd like to expand park service in the future and kind of where we see ourselves growing. So the TDP, it includes a list of unfunded needs that helps us prioritize any potential service improvements if new funding were to become available. And we'll be doing a TDP future update next year, so that's exciting. Please stay tuned for that. We'll be coming back to our stakeholders like yourselves, the community, to talk about that future vision soon. And the COA that we're working on as well, it's the foundation of the TDP. The TDP is also part of the first 10 years of the long range transportation plans, transit component that the TPO works on. So next we'll be going over the proposed service changes that were developed through the COA and that we have been going to the public about as well. So the routes with proposed service changes include, as you see on the screen there, the Route 9 on 15th and 30th Street, and the Route 34 on Hillsborough Avenue. I will say there was one already based on the public outreach. There's one late addition that didn't quite make it to this list for the proposed improvements, kind of an either or with the Route 9. So we also want to mention that based on some of the outreach we've done, we've heard a lot of comments and demand for improved frequency on the Route 38. The Route 38 serves Brandon Mall, the Net Park Transfer Center. It serves Brandon, Mango, Sefner area. And overall, both the 9 and the 38 are high priorities. They've been high priorities for a while for 30-minute service. So we're kind of looking right now to see, in the short term, based on what we can do, which one we want to prioritize first. So in order to make these improvements, we are also proposing some adjustments. So those adjustments, and we'll go into more of them in detail as the presentation goes on. But those adjustments are to the Route 7 in West Tampa, the Route 46, which is Brandon Boulevard, the Route 37, which is Brandon and Net Park, and then the 24, the 25 LX from Fishhawk to Bloomingdale, Fishhawk and Bloomingdale areas to South Tampa, and the Heartflex South County, which operates in Waimama, Ruskin, and Sun City areas, will be proposed to be eliminated. So the three on the bottom, those route eliminations, I'm sure those stick out a bit more. And, as staff, we don't take those decisions lightly to ever cut service. But, we want to make sure that we are reallocating those buses in the best way possible and trying to make our, entire system more efficient, grow ridership. So, that's why we're looking at those routes. Please note also that, these slides right here, they're still in the proposal stage. So we're still doing outreach. We're still doing a lot of additional steps to, kind of refine this list. And, based on the outreach and the stakeholder engagement conducted thus far. So, it's all part of the conversation. So next, I will be going into a bit more detail about each proposed change. So first here, you can see we're looking at improving two routes. The first one, so the Route 9, or as I mentioned earlier, the Route 38. Apologies for not getting on the slide quite in time. But we would look at increasing the Route 9 or the Route 38. Its frequency to go from every 60 minutes to running every 30 minutes on weekdays. For the sake of this, I'm going to focus on the Route 9 right now. But the goal is this would provide better service for the nearly 700 passenger trips that happen on the Route 9 daily. One of our goals with this plan was to improve these routes, or improve the routes that only come once an hour, such as the Route 9 to 38. They come every hour versus, some routes come every 30 or 15. Because it reduces the total trip time when having to wait for the next bus. We also project that this improvement would add an additional 200 passenger trips per day to the entire HART system. The other improvement we're looking at is improving the on-time performance on the Route 34. So currently the Route 34 is one of our 20-minute routes. But as it stands, it has a hard time staying on schedule with the current resources. So in order to keep the route at every 20 minutes as advertised, it was determined that we need an additional bus on the route so that it can arrive when it's supposed to. This route is also one of the top 4 ridership routes in the entire HART system, providing about 2,700 passenger trips per day on a typical weekday.
Just a quick clarifying question.
Yeah,
So you're looking at improving both of these, not just one.
So-
The discussion is between 9 and 38.
the discussion, yeah,
Okay.
the discussion is between 9 and 38. The 34 is on the table regardless. The discussion is whether we want to pick the 9
Or the 38, but both of these are looking for improvement. Okay,
Yes,
just
yeah.
wanted to make sure.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good question. So next, now we're gonna look at some of the route adjustments that we're proposing as well. So for the Route 37, we're proposing the removal of that HCC branded loop you see on the screen right there. So that instead it would stay straight on Falkenberg Road. This change, the goal of it is to just make the trip quicker for those 10, on average, 10 people who are on board on the bus at that time, who are not going to HCC. And based on our analysis, we don't have a ton of ridership into that loop as it is right now. And for the riders that do use that HCC branded stop, the alternative would be the half-mile walk from the stop that's on Falkenberg Road to get to campus. Next, we're going to look at 2 span reductions as well. So the first one being the last eastbound trip on the Route 7 that departs at 11:25 headed to downtown Marion Transit Center. That would be removed 7 days per week. The reason for this change is that, based on the data analysis that we've done, there is at most 1 rider on that last trip, and oftentimes there are no riders on that last trip. So it seems like, we're reallocating resources, to trim the route down there. Very similar to the Route 7, the last westbound trip on the Route 46, which departs at 10:45 p.m. headed to Brandon Mall. That would also be removed 7 days per week for very similar reasons. At most, there's 1 rider on the trip, but a lot of time doing that. So that's why we're looking at that as well. All right, so now we're going to get into some of the bigger stuff here. So 2 of the limited express routes from Fishhawk, Bloomingdale area that go to South Tampa and MacDill Air Force Base, the routes 24 and 25 LX, they would no longer be in service in order to make those previously discussed enhancements. So these 2 routes, just kind of based on the analysis we've done, they're 2 of the least productive and lowest ridership routes in the HART system. These routes, back when they were designed, they were kind of designed as park and rides from the get-go, getting people in Bloomingdale and Fishhawk areas to downtown and MacDill Air Force Base. They traverse a pretty far distance to do that trip, and there's 3 trips in the morning, going to the base, and then 3 trips in the afternoon leaving the base. For the riders that currently use the route, and again, we've been doing outreach at some of the stops and talking to the impacted riders. We've been trying to, get their feedback and letting them know that the Route 360 LX, which is another park and ride that connects East County to downtown to MacDill, that's still an alternative from the JC Hamley Park and Ride to get to downtown and MacDill. And we are also taking steps into looking into promoting van pool service as an alternative for 24 and 25 LX riders as well. Fun fact, there was like a van pool presentation a few LRCs ago. And that's kind of what we got the thought as well. So LRC doing its job. So lastly, the HART-Flex South County. That is the other route that we're proposing to take out of service. The route, just based on our, the ridership that we get, it is the lowest ridership route of any route in our entire system, and also the least productive in terms of the passengers per hour. For context, on that route, we get about 2 people that are riding per hour on any given weekday. It's an only weekday service as well, but it's just not doing, what we hope it's supposed to be doing as far as the route that we're running down there. That's an alternative for those who qualify. We're also letting people know that Sunshine Line is an alternative. It's a transportation disadvantage service that operates in Hillsborough County, and it could be an alternative for transportation in the Sun City Center, Ruskin, Waimama areas as well. Next, I'm going to get into some of the feedback that we've been doing as well. So public feedback in this whole process has been very important. We've been doing a lot of extensive outreach, going to transfer centers, going to the park and rides, doing community open houses. And there's many ways to submit feedback. So feedback can be submitted via that website, heartserviceinput.com. And we've been trying to plug that on our social medias and letting riders and the community know. It can also be the website also includes the form to submit comments directly, the maps and flyers, schedule public meetings of all the proposed changes. And the webpage is also, it's made available in English and Spanish for English and Spanish speakers in the community. People can also call the HART customer service phone number, email us at feedback@goheart.org, send us mail, or attend public meetings. Again, we're trying not to miss anyone with our public outreach efforts, so we're doing our best to kind of reach people where they are. We are at the tail end of our engagement, and fun fact, actually, our last event is tonight at 7 p.m. It is the public hearing at the EBOR, our administrative office. So, like I said, we've been conducting engagement at the transit centers, park and rides, open houses, and we've also been having HART and consultant staff who have been writing the routes as well to, hand out flyers to let, affected riders know about the changes as well. All the comments, as I mentioned, are considered equally regardless of the format that we receive them, whether it's online, call, public hearing, any of that. And the comments will be accepted until tonight, October 15th at 7 p.m. at the conclusion of our public hearing at the HART administrative offices. Also, a big shout out to the TBO. They've been providing us a lot of consultant and staff support for this effort, so big shout out to them. So next steps, as I said, we're accepting feedback about proposed changes now through October 15th today. After that public input period closes, HART staff will review the public comments and then make any adjustments to these plans as needed. The HART Board of Directors will do a final approval of the service changes in February 2026. And if approved, we would implement any changes in the summer of 2026. We'll be coming back to the TBO and the TBO boards in February to present the outcome of the outreach efforts, and in May to promote any service changes that were approved. I'm also on the LRC, so any month you can just ask me questions too. As mentioned, stay tuned for the TDP major update. That'll be exciting as well. Again, talking about future growth and expansion and what HART wants to be when it grows up. It'll be an exciting time to talk about HART's future vision and how we can be better. So with that, appreciate you all for letting me present today and happy to take any questions.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How many buses would be taken out when you're taking out the 24LX, the 25LX, and the HART Flex?
So the idea is that it would be about 6, yeah. So that's the resources that we need. So it's as I mentioned, they're trip buses. So it's 6 buses in the morning and it's 6 buses in the afternoon to get orders to where they need to go.
But 6 buses
6
total.
buses, yeah.
And then you're reallocating those buses to routes 9 and route 34, like ideally.
Yeah.
So it would take all 6 buses to do that?
Yeah, about just to get the frequency added. It's
Okay.
when we're and that's been something even when I started at HART, it's a learning experience, like how many buses are actually needed to run service and to get frequency added, because essentially for the route 9, you're doubling service.
Yeah.
For the route 34, you're adding a bus to get that frequency up. So I mean, that's the resources it takes. Often, when people come to us and they say like, why don't we have a route here? Why is this route infrequent? I mean, a lot of it is it's a resource thing, and those resources can sometimes be a lot. So.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, I was just curious about that.
Yeah, no, it is interesting.
Karen.
Love that you're partnering with the Vanpool program. Makes total
Yeah.
sense. And they might even end up liking it better.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah, my question is if transit signal priority is even a conversation right now.
Yeah, that's a great question. We have been in conversation with the city about transit signal prioritization. And actually, yesterday, we met with the county, Rebecca was there actually as well, and we talked about, transit signal prioritization opportunities in the county. We hadn't had those conversations previously, and they were open to it, so we're exploring it actively, and, the buses, they have the technology to be able to do it, so it would help, and even on like the Route 34, for example, where on-time performance is a struggle, it would be a big help as well, and just, hopefully it would optimize our resources as well. When you can improve on-time performance even, you can even save additional resources and, put them to where they're needed.
So you said the buses have the technology, do the signals have the technology?
Some of them do.
So it's just,
Yeah.
there's really no reason why we're not.
It's kind of a matter of just turning it on and coordinating it, for lack of a better term. But it's getting, it's like, it's having conversations, a lot of times it's like, just, in life in general, it's just you ask, and a lot of times people are willing to help and, get you ready to go. So, the county, they seemed amenable to partnering on that, and the city as well. It's just kind of a matter of keeping those conversations going.
Is there anything the public can do to help spur that?
Well, it is something that, it's worth bringing up to different groups about that option. I think also just on the heart level, something we can probably communicate better as well about, like how that technology works. I don't think a lot of people understand like how or what transit signal prioritization is, or because it works for like the fire trucks, but people don't realize it can work for a bus. The Sunrunner and in St. Pete, they have that going. And people think because it's a bus rapid transit, it can only work for that, but no, it can work for traditional routes as well. So it is a messaging thing, and I think the more people know about it, the more people are informed. It also then puts pressure on HART too, to like actually get stuff like that done as well.
Could that be a potential TPO presentation, maybe, or?
Could be, but also
Yeah.
it could just be simply from out of this meeting, we decide to make a motion to share with Hart that that's something that we would like to.
I'd like to make a motion. Then,
Yeah.
that, I don't want to put all the pressure on Hart, but I'd like to make a motion.
Put some
that-
pressure on us.
Okay,
Yeah.
that Hart help educate elected officials and the public sector about transit signal priority and the fact that your buses are already equipped.
And not only, I would add that maybe just that this body believes that it should be a priority to consider. So we have a second. Okay, we have a motion from Karen and we have second from David.
How does that work? Like,
Well, basically, we would just, I believe we would send a little letter and just say, hey, we heard about,
yeah.
we heard your presentation and from that we had conversation and we would encourage you to,
Okay, I was.
just basically saying it's on our radar and we hope that you take these comments
Yeah.
and so basically it's like you're trying to get the comments today about the routes. We're telling you, oh, well, we had some extra questions and we think you should also be working on this.
I have a procedural question.
Yeah, so maybe technically the action could be for allow TPO staff to communicate that message.
Okay.
So then we have an actionable.
Would you?
Sure. Yep,
Okay.
sounds great.
And is that message being communicated solely to Hart, or would it also go to the TPO board?
Up to you, we could recommend that it goes to the TPO board and then also allow staff to communicate that to Hart staff.
I just think that would allow us to be communicating this interest as well.
Okay.
But that's if people are interested in that.
So, just so that my brain can understand this, so we're writing a letter to support that they promote this, but should we also direct it to, like, I would assume the city of Tampa?
And the
Well,
county.
I'm more hope with the city, but just being honest, that it go to, like, because we do have an election coming up and maybe it will become an election issue.
Would you all like to see the letter before we send it? I don't know.
I don't.
Oh, Lisa has
I recall from decades of liaisonship that committees no longer write the letters, but they make recommendations to the board to issue letters unless something's changed that I get corrected on. And this is why committee reports are great to have. So Livable could make a special note of this unique motion because they do in the committee reports, and then our chair is on the board, she can take it from there.
Okay.
That's my guidance. Does that work?
Sounds great.
That's awesome.
Well,
Johnny's good.
Johnny's getting up. So this is what we're trying to do with Johnny.
I'll offer a recommendation. I mean,
Yeah.
traffic signal prioritization is something that could be handled internally. All we would need to figure out is who owns and maintains the signals. We could offer that as an internal memo, staff to staff, if you wanted to elevate the importance of it and have the TPO board approve, and then we sign it and send off. I think that might accelerate the speed at which this gets handled. So, you know, regardless of how you want to handle it, I think the folks in the room can take that message back to their teams that transit signal prioritization is important. Let's work on putting together a game plan to figure out how to time the signals that cross Route 9 and 34 and 38 as well. But if you'd like to elevate that, I think the motion that Karen made is perfectly fine.
And I'll just speak a little, I believe you've been here, but one of the things that this board is trying to do is to try to figure out like how we can be more active and have these actions. So thank you for that as we work on trying to figure out like how we can move things out of this committee toward others. So
I think part of our goal here was not to have it be just an internal communication.
correct. I agree.
This is something that is supposed to be directed at educating the public too. So we are asking hard to look at making sure that more people understand what that is.
Question, are we still missing someone from City of Tampa Mobility on the commission? or
Correct.
committee?
Yes,
Yeah, because I mean, when I was still there, they took over, they installed that ITS like throughout all signals the city maintains. So I mean, they control all the timing,
I want to say
everything.
Jason is supposed to be our,
Okay,
I just don't think, yeah,
I bet.
he's new, so,
okay.
yeah, it's vacant right now, but we just hired, Jason Jackman, so I believe he's supposed to be coming from USF to cities
Okay.
and I believe he's supposed to have that seat, but I don't know what happened about that, so I can find out. So, it'll be on my to-do list.
That hits the internal, because if somebody's here, we can keep pushing them.
Yeah, exactly, but
But
a
still
letter-
write whatever letters and memos and everything else.
I think that Karen's point of educating both the public, the electeds, and maybe even the TPO board about what signal prioritization does. Because it sounds great, but I'll be honest, I've ridden a bunch of fire trucks and I'm gonna have to ask, because I'm doing a ride along on Friday, because I haven't really seen that. Because on a fire truck, you just go through the intersection. We don't have the ability on a bus. So I am curious how it works. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious how that works as well. Having actually done that. So,
I'll defer to whatever the TPO staff thinks is the best path. I think they understand how.
yes, but we still need some type of actionable thing to have written down. So how would we all like to word this?
Connor, do you have some notes?
Yeah, you want to give it a shot?
So maybe I can.
And then you just provide the guidance and then Karen, you can just say, yes, that.
Absolutely.
I move that.
Maybe it would be a motion to allow staff communication to heart, staff to educate elected officials, the public and public officials. And that is signal prioritization should be a priority. And then somehow we can incorporate a letter for TPO board approval.
And some education in there.
Sounds good. And if I could get one of the clickers for my own personal use, I'd appreciate that.
So yeah, maybe a copy for all of us.
No, I want one of the little clickers. That's how it works, right? It's like.
Well, we have a motion from Karen. Is your second still stand?
Yes.
So second from David. Any more conversation around it? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, wonderful. And hopefully, it sounds like this, it sounds, and correct me if I'm wrong, it sounds like this board would also like a presentation about how that works. Okay, I'm getting some nods.
Yeah.
So in that, hopefully whatever the education, if it comes to, to let all the boards possibly have this education
Okay.
as we work toward that. Yes.
In that presentation, can we have some information regarding where we are compared on that issue with other counties in our region?
Sure.
Are we ahead of the curve? Are we behind the curve? Are we in line with what Pinellas, Pasco, and are there maybe Orlando, what they're doing? Like, just so then we get a gauge of.
That's a great question. Hopefully.
Definitely, we could definitely look into it for sure,
Wonderful.
even like other states as
Yeah,
well.
I don't.
Yeah, keep it constrained, I think locally.
The jurisdictions
understand,
will
but
be
yeah.
I think constrained locally would be more helpful because a lot of other states are way beyond us.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
just,
That's the idea.
But maybe just see like what's possible.
sure. I agree. And yeah, I'm sorry.
Sorry, I had more questions.
Okay.
Just.
Go ahead.
Okay. We're cutting a lot of routes to McDill. What coordination have you had with McDill? Are they aware of these express buses
So it's,
essentially disappearing or?
so it's mostly been through the outreach with the riders of these routes that we've been connecting, the people that are, using these routes to get to McDill. There is still gonna be the 360 LX, which is still in East County to McDill route, so that is still an option. Part of this process is the 24 and 25, and just based on the current ridership levels and it being somewhat duplicative service, with the 360, with it kind of being a park and ride service in some ways, but we are still trying to actively work to talk with McDill as well. It's something that I think we can do a little bit better in coordinating with like McDill, the staff, or, just like people in some base as well to see, because that's another thing they haven't. It is kind of a two-way thing, and I think it's just communicating like, hey, what's the best need? What's the best way to reach you all? Are these routes, where our current McDill Air Force Base, like where are they living right now? Like, are we connecting to them properly?
Yeah.
And that's why with van pool as well, we're thinking that could be a good alternative for the riders and maybe something, it's a bit more efficient, given the total riders that we have, connected to the base.
One of our planning commissioners is from the base, Tony Rodriguez. So
Okay.
if you would need to connect with
Yeah.
him, or he might know someone in the chain of command down there that would
Communications officer.
be better.
Yeah.
to-
Yeah.
Yesterday, on our downtown transportation committee, Heather Sobush talked to Mark Halo, who represents Vanpool, and Mark has a good base contact that he was gonna give to Heather.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, 'cause I think Heather was having a hard time finding someone at the base or. talking to
Yeah, I
someone.
think there's been just from what I've heard, I think that there's been a few different contacts we've had in the past, and I think it's just, changes of guard at Hart, changes of guard at McDill, and it's like keeping those connections alive and, making sure that we're all still talking,
And I know, correct me, like, there was a study a while back about service from South County to the base via a ferry.
Yeah,
I would assume, like, since it seems that some services is leaving the base, is there gonna be a relooked at, like, financial analysis of maybe it's now a different cost structure, I don't know, of, getting people from South County, especially since the current Board of County Commissioners has gone on a very large urban service area expansion process over the last couple of years. There's going to be a lot more people in South County, and there's still only 4 bridges over the Alphi to get north. So I'm just thinking, is there any thought of looking at, again, connections from South County through a ferry over to the base as an alternative, so then they don't have to do the big horseshoe commute?
so I can talk from the Hart perspective. We're not super involved with the ferry conversations as they are right now. It is something, I know that was proposed a while with the study and the expansion from, I think it was like Apollo Beach, having that ferry station and going to McDill as well. It's something, and I think like to the previous point of just like trying to like reignite conversations and communication with McDill, to collaborate and see like, hey, like what works best, and what type of service does a traditional bus make the most sense. Does it very make sense? These are a lot of like, honestly, kind of unknowns right now that I think we need to dig into a bit deeper into.
Well, and I think PSTA is buying ships.
Yeah.
now,
Yeah,
and
they
they're-
are right now.
Yes, so just was curious on.
I could give a short update. I had one yesterday.
Great.
If you'd like, on the Tampa Bay Ferry. It comes to both City of Tampa and City of St. Petersburg city councils on November 6th. They're asking for a $350,000 contribution from each cities. PSTA is feeling good about the political support at this point. And they're hoping that March at the soonest is when we would see ferry service, but I don't believe a South County leg is being considered at this time, but maybe that would be a very logical expansion. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed, they're trying to keep the fares at $10. And they're looking at convention center stop where it's been in Tampa and then trying to move it back closer to the pier. Back on St. Pete. So I think it's getting some steam.
Yeah,
That's
great.
great.
Can you say again how much they're asking the city?
$350,000. And it's originally they thought it would be a CRA request, but they've since pivoted and somewhere in the general fund, I'm not sure. Maybe from the new multimodal fees or something. I'm not sure exactly where it would come from.
I'm not either. I'll look forward to it. Okay,
Thank you.
wonderful. Any other questions?
Sorry, I have one more. Do you know anything about the status of the emergency ride home program that FDOT supported for decades, but I haven't seen come back since the T-BARTA commuter services went away?
I don't have current information on that right now. I know PSTA is the current owner of the van pool service right now, so I can get with them and ask them what the status of that is. Let's see, how it's running, because I know T-BARTA used to do that program.
Right. Maybe I could make a motion again, if you guys don't mind, that there's outreach to the Florida Department of Transportation District 7 to ask what their plan is to bring back the emergency ride home program. I think it's a great safety net for transit riders, and I don't think that it was used or abused that much, that it's going to be a big budget allocation from the FDOT.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Karen and a second from Rebecca. Any other comments about that one? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so maybe, if you find an answer to, if you have any more information, maybe during the next meeting during, old business, that would be a great place to update us if you could.
Yeah,
Can you remind me of the second motion?
Rebecca.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Questions? Thank you so much. This was very informative.
well, guys, and personal notes, honor to be able to present to you guys as well, to people, so it's every month, so thank you guys so much.
Absolutely, thank you. And so we are continuing the pattern. We have our very own Connor Trejos McDonald to update us on the Temple Terrace Multimodal Network Connection Study. And just let the record reflect that Arizona Jenkins has joined us. Hello.
So quite a mouthful of a name, so we're looking for potential names if you have any ideas. But I'm Connor Trejos McDonald. I'm your liaison from TIPO staff, and I'm here to present, I'm here at the podium to present the Temple Terrace Multimodal Network Connections. So a little bit of a background on this. This was a request out of Mayor Ross of TPO staff to look at potential routes to connect key locations of Temple Terrace. The idea is kind of like a Boston Freedom Trail kind of network, so identify connections to schools, parks, recreation centers. So some of the objectives, one, again, would be to identify a trail network that promotes safe, efficient, and accessible transportation and recreation options, enhance connectivity among the neighborhoods and the commercial areas, parks, and other key points and attractions, and also engage the public and key stakeholders to obtain feedback and insights into the community's vision. So the timeline, earlier this year, we did a review with the consultant. We did a review of the existing plans. We conducted an existing conditions assessment as well as a public survey. We're currently in kind of second phase where we conducted a stakeholder workshop We've worked on some concept development and also a public workshop, which I'll get into later. And then next is the preferred network prioritization. And along with that, a cost and feasibility analysis and network mapping. And then finally, we'll come to the committees, the TPO board, as well as the Temple Terrace City Council. So the survey we conducted from May to June, some of the highlights were that more than 50% selected daily or several a week for the frequency of their walking or biking trips. 51% said that a lack of safe routes was a factor preventing them from walking or biking more often. 70% indicated that they use these trips for fitness, recreation, if we go to a specific destination. They rank parks, shopping, and neighborhoods as their top 3 destinations. And finally, they rank safety, connectivity, and comfort as their most important features. So as part of the stakeholder meetings, we had typical staff, of course, we had City of Temple Terrace engineering staff, and county staff, HART, and Temple Terrace, a representative from their BPAC, the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, as well as some administrators from Florida College. And some of the results of that was they discussed opportunities of providing more information about the planning context of the network route. They identified regional opportunities. So there's unique challenges and unique opportunities to connect regional networks, like the Canal Trail and the Sun Trail. The HART has a robust ridership in Temple Terrace, and they identified that some of these routes provide connectivity to USF, net parks, Citrus Park, and downtown. And finally, almost all identified 56th Street with downtown CRA as having a high pedestrian frequency. So some of these community activity centers that we identified, many of these are from the Planning Commission, the Hillsborough Planning Commission. Some of them are from City of Temple Terrace. But there's commercial corridors, open space, neighborhood activity centers, and we also identified, the libraries and schools and parks and recreation. And using this, we created the next slide, which is the trail route and that blue line. And then we have some alternatives for public feedback. Looking at these specific locations to see what their preferred route would be. So for example, on the south end, River Hills Drive versus going through the neighborhood there. To create that trail alignment or that route alignment, we use several criteria, including speed limits, existing facilities, connectivity to parks, schools, and commercial uses. And for example, the alignment could connect up to 13 city parks, which I think is pretty impressive itself. And the draft alignment connects civic and commercial areas like City Hall, Public Works, downtown CRA, and 3 public schools. So actually on Saturday, we explored alternatives with the public. We did this at the Temple Terrace Fire Station open house as opposed to the public, like specific outreach for just this trail, because we thought maybe we'd get more responses that way, and we certainly did. It was very busy, so I'm very glad to see that. So with the public engagement, we're hoping to get on the ground knowledge and identify segments with alternatives, identifying where they would prefer again. So we collected that feedback via tabletop map and questionnaire. So I wanted to bring this to you today as a status report, but just beyond just saying this is what we're doing, I wanted to have some discussion. So I had some points here that maybe we could talk about, or if you have any other ideas that you'd like to bring up. So one is what factors considered in prioritizing parts of the network, what facilities should be considered when attracting people outside of Temple Terrace, and if you know of any unique cultural or natural features that could be considered in branding efforts or innate. So the next steps, currently we're collecting public and committee feedback, and then we'll create that report, prioritization and cost and feasibility analysis. And then finally, in December and February, we'll be bringing the final plan to the Temple Terrace City Council, the committees, and the TPO. So with that, I'll take any comments or questions, and I'll go back to this discussion.
Thank you. I was going to say that I just want to say, first of all, before we even have the discussion, that thank you for providing some questions. I think this is very helpful, again, to get us all talking. I think this is very, very cool. So,
Cassie, quick question. Did you line this up with Tampa's walk-bike plan to see if there's connections at all? I know it's Temple Terrace, but it's on the border of Tampa. I noticed you had the county and other agencies, but not Tampa, not necessarily wanted Tampa in it, but we do connect to it.
Right, absolutely.
You
So,
don't even know you're crossing into Temple Terrace unless you know.
absolutely. So it's kind of difficult to see, but these gray lines on this map are like some other potential connections that we've measured. Just
Okay.
because we're at it essentially. So some of those I believe should connect it, more city of Tampa networks. I don't know if I may be mistaken with the green artery. I don't know if it goes up that north, but that's an example of what this would look like. A Temple Terrace version of the green artery.
I think that'd be helpful for people to see even in Temple Terrace of how they could connect to things in Tampa as well, and anything else that's around, because they don't just stay in Temple Terrace. Especially we want to encourage people to bike other places and.
Thank you.
Emily?
I was hoping you could talk about whether you've done any specific safe routes to school analysis here. I noticed you referenced several schools that would have connection to the trail connections, but I don't know if you've worked with the school district at all to see mapping of where students are located versus like just where the schools are to identify how this could connect to schools.
We did not include that in the existing conditions and plans, but that's certainly something we can include in exactly what we're
So I think that the TPO has done some effective studies in the past where they were able to coordinate with the school district to map student locations. So it's not just where the school is, but like which direction are kids coming from? Where are their population centers where you're going to have a lot of walkers and bikers, and are they able to connect to anything here? Are there small adjustments that you could make that would make it more accessible to families that need to walk and bike?
Absolutely, thank you. We haven't incorporated that yet.
I think the safety study that we did for City of Tampa would be an effective model of how that conversation and relationship worked. I mean, obviously this doesn't have that kind of scope. I think the Temple Terrace BPAC has sort of dipped their toes into that a little bit, but they don't have that kind of comprehensive plan or look.
David?
Couple things. The trail portion, like that seems to be, it's hard to tell. Is it on the river or just on the street? Because I know there's a lot of private property there. And I know we ran into that issue down in Riverview where we talked about having a river walk, and then it's like nobody wants anyone between their house and the water. They get very defensive. So just a question about that. And then, well, maybe you can, and then I'll go to my next.
Yeah, absolutely. So this portion that goes along the river on River Hills Drive, that does kind of go along the park and into the park, that is public on the river.
But then like up here, this is where the road, right? Because there's all houses, right? Correct. It's wide. Yeah.
A lot.
It's private property. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there is a park there. That's
There
the
is.
golf course. Yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's the park area.
I used to see ducks there with my parents.
So it would run mostly just on the road, right?
Right, and this is similar to the green artery. It would be different implementation. So part of it may be like an off-street bike facility, one may be like sharrows on the road if it's low stress. So it's a combination, and what I'm getting at with that is that it may be on the road, but it's not necessarily like, high traffic.
Right, but it's geared for both bikers, walkers, whatever. If there's a bike lane, there'll also be pedestrian, like sidewalks, correct? Yeah. The other thing, and you mentioned Boston, because that works because they've put specific brick treatment, or when I was there, it was just paint, but now in some sections it's a brick treatment that you just follow the thing there. It's not, so that's what was going to be my question. If some of this is just, hey, it's a sidewalk, Are they gonna even know it's like, oh, this is like a system? Like, if it's just looks like a sidewalk, people are gonna just.
That's part of the
Right.
problem with the green artery right now.
Right, you've got to create, and in Boston, you just follow the line, like, and then I think there's now different colored lines if you want to go to like Charlestown or something like that, but like there has to be something, I think, embedded into that, then the person knows, oh, where does this line go? Like, what's around this corner?
Is it
Like,
just a-
why is it,
Is it just a single line? Like,
some of it was brick.
like in
that-
Busch Gardens parking lot? you go
They
to
just put,
handicap?
right, and then
Okay.
others were just paint, but at least it wasn't relying on like, oh, here's a sign that says this is this trail, but you have to be right here to read the sign. Like, if you're connecting 30 feet down, you don't see the sign and you're like, it's a sidewalk. So I just think that's an important component of, it has to be branded. I would also make sure that, the trail, and sometimes our streets are not the shadiest places. So hopefully shade is like a factor in routing people. That we're not just like, oh, it happens to be convenient to be on this road and no human being wants to be on that in August. Like, we should be trying to either get the shade on, if we have to put it there, let's get some shade there, or pick the shadier street. That's my kind of 2 cents.
Rebecca?
I'd really like to see some connection to the big Mosey redevelopment site. Because it's gonna be a huge indoor athletic experience with dining and everything, and I think it'd be nice for people to be able to Temple Terrace, just be able to bike and walk. And then from there, they could go into the USF.
That was gonna be one of my questions, was like, how do we connect it to USF for people? I mean, Temple Terrace is known as a community for people who work at USF. So if some of those folks are cyclists anyway, so how are we gonna help connect them safely?
My question would be, is this a project that you are putting together? Are you the lead for it, or
On the TPO side, but we do have a consultant, Banash, that's mostly leading.
has the consultant gone and seen the green artery?
I believe they're familiar by living in Tampa, that all the project team lives in Tampa, but I'm not sure they've done that specifically related to this specific set.
I would encourage them to see both the section D, which has the nice wide sidewalk all the way from North Boulevard to Florida. It's lovely. And then see section E, which only has a partial sidewalk. It's more difficult. There's some really bad blind curves that have not gotten sidewalks that are just not great. But what they have done on all of the segments is add speed bumps.
Okay.
And they've done the split speed bumps so that fire vehicles can get through by, they're just wide enough that fire trucks can get through, but not too wide so that cars have to go through them. But what it does is it provides a space in the middle too for cyclists. So it makes it easier for cyclists to get through on the low impact network. Also, again, just as a cyclist, just because it seems like a nice loop does not mean it's a low impact street. So that's what worries me about some of the outlining along the, because it's not really along the river, but it's sort of along the river. Is that really the safest route? If that's the only route some people have to get home. Some of those, even though they're windy, can be very fast. Like, I wouldn't recommend you bike on that area in Sulphur Springs because there's a lot of cars that go on that. So is that really the lowest impact area? So I would definitely, if they haven't already, I would encourage your consultants to actually get on a bike and do it.
Okay.
Anyone else? Omar.
Yeah, I was just gonna add one more thing in terms of the branding efforts question. As far as like what have you all done like engagement with some like the business leaders or like businesses like in Temple Terrace? I was just thinking like, I feel like there are like a lot of good local businesses, a lot of good like restaurants too, and maybe just kind of like thinking about like promoting like bike pedestrian connectivity. I know there's also like that sort of like, I don't know if it's called like downtown Temple Terrace, but like where the Winn-Dixie is, where they're trying to really just develop and like kind of promoting that as like kind of the center for like, you know, like good walking, just like place-making activity and things like that. So I think just trying to connect with like some of the local businesses and stuff too, and just let them know about these efforts. Because you know, all these businesses, they have parking too, you know, maybe promoting is like, hey, like have people walk or bike to the businesses, you know, like have more space for parking and stuff like that, you know, for other people. So just thought.
Caroline.
I think kind of adding on to what Rebecca said about connecting to the USF and Boise site, that is like parks is up north, and I think a lot of recreational users might find kind of that attractiveness to this route.
Yeah, and also are you connecting to the rec center? I know that's like a big, important.
That's right here, right?
I
Yeah.
believe so.
It's down the street.
Yeah, so that would be something that I would think that people would want to connect to. I know that was the big thing when we were looking for a house, and we considered Temple Terrace, and that was like a big selling feature. But
There's a lot of foot traffic on White Way, Druid Hills, Mission Hills, just because there's a lot of people who live there, a lot of foot traffic.
yeah. So how do we do that for cyclists, Rebecca?
They have a historic golf course. It's on the National Register. And I don't know many golf courses that are on the National Register. But they also used to have Sutton Hall, and I was just looking at it, looks like it was slated for demolition.
Yeah, that was
there.
drama.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Did it go? Is it gone?
I don't know, to be
It's a
honest.
really fabulous building, and that's too bad.
Yeah, I think it had a lot of water damage or some other things. So I'm not
Didn't
quite
take
sure.
care of it.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what this.
It's on the campus of Florida College. So I would point that out, and Temple Terrace turned on. So.
Ashley.
Thank you. I think branding, I think you nailed it. You know, you started the presentation with the word salad. I think adoption of this, once it gets put into place, even if it is through paint or markings, and kind of a makeshift way, the brand is so important.
Okay.
When I think Temple Terrace, I do think natural resources, oaks, cypress, things like that. Those are naturally aligned with trail iconography, utility branding for a living. So in this case, I think making sure if it's not a part of Bench's contract to talk about the brand that you implore hiring somebody either through the city of Temple Terrace or through the TPO. We're gonna work on that because I think that's where these projects kind of, they lose steam when the brand's not recognizable. Because the engineers can come up with solutions for some of the ways to get people safely around, and I have full faith in that. But the brand, I think sometimes we miss the mark on, so they have an opportunity.
Thank you.
And you could just simply call it Temple Terrace Trail.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's like TTT, and then I can see a tree. Yeah, I mean, there's
Done.
Yeah, there's a lot of great things, but that is a really good point. And I think, actually, David, I wrote that idea down for the green artery.
Yeah.
To, you know, a green line. And another place that you could send your consultants to take a look at that as a really good example is, under the Selman Greenway signage. They simply paint two green lines on both sides of the sidewalk. It is so clear. And then at every intersection, they just have a paint that says that says Selman Greenway.
Yeah.
And you might not need to go that in depth, especially if it's inside Temple Terrace, but maybe that icon of whatever
It's important.
yeah, so but just having those two green lines really, really enables you to figure out that I'm still on the same path.
Yeah.
So I'm totally gonna take that idea for the green artery and see what we can do in our next iteration.
I wish Karen was still here because Karen and I worked on that with Theo and getting those lines. And I'll say the engineers on the accessory authority were very reticent. They thought, oh, that's not, these are poles that are meant for function and not for wayfinding, and for like it's paint, it'll be fine. But I think that's again, that nexus of we can engineer this project very well, hopefully, but also the brand has to be in alignment or it won't have adoption.
Yeah, And I mean, as someone who takes people on bike rides, we did this element and it was so easy to find and to make sure because it's a very complicated area. And with Temple Terrace, it'll be the same thing. You want to get to have people not even thinking about it. It's just follow the line, follow that, and signs just aren't gonna do it. Because of how much sign pollution there is right now. You want people to be able to jog and not think about where they're going, but just be able to run and, you know. Oh, okay, yeah, neat. It's just a brick line in the middle. So it's just a piece of brick. So yes, anybody else? This was a great conversation. Again, thank you for the questions. And the second question, what facilities should be considered? That's where I think the downtown comes into play where there is parking. So it would be great if on that trail you do, when you come up with maps, you do signage for that. This is where you park so that you can take your bike along this trail. Oftentimes in a lot of the longer trails, I'm thinking of the Hawthorne Rail Trail up in Gainesville. They actually on the trail have signs for parking because a lot of cyclists use that as a longer, I want to say it's like a 16-mile trail. So there's parking all along it, but if you just look at the map, you can clearly see where you can park to take your bike out. And once this becomes a reality, people will come and use it. It's just like you see on the Riverwalk. It amazes me on the weekend, the amount of people I see parking and taking their bikes off their cars to ride the river.
Thank you.
This was a great conversation. Again, really love the questions. We should encourage that in the future. Okay, last but not least, another person who has been very active in our LRC. This is just the LRC LRC meeting. Yeah, so Lisa, it's nice to see you again.
All right, I'll just kind of do my little warm up here while he's getting my PowerPoint up. Lisa Silva, TPO staff and project manager of the next presentation you're going to get to see, and past Livable liaison. I want you to know I'm voyeuring in virtually always because I know some of the topics and discussion of this committee. So I'm looking forward to presenting my project. I would confess that I took our new staff member on a little tour of the Selman Greenway. Fun fact, this is first ever feasibility study for the TPO. I wasn't even a member of the staff yet. Just a planning commission. And yes, for years, we have been begging for wayfinding. And so I was very pleased to show them there's green lines and stamps and signs so you even know where to turn because to make it work, it was very, we had to see much in there. So lobbying. Yes, so I was like, so yeah. Thank you. I'm looking forward to more of the pocket parks and stuff being implemented. All right. Henderson Boulevard to Manhattan Avenue Vision Plan.
Can you move your mic a little closer to you now?
Okay.
Thanks. Just making sure people online can hear.
So I am the Vision Zero coordinator and bringing lots of Vision Zero implementation projects forward. This one's a little different and unique, so I'm gonna set the tone for the listening. Always it's an opportunity to improve safety and provide for all potential users of the roadway. So it's a multimodal access analysis, given lots of more choices. And even like looking at the economics and placemaking, whenever we improve the roadway, it does that. We kicked off the project in March and have been plowing through all the existing conditions analysis. So this is a beast of a corridor compared to some of the others for scope. I will tell you that it goes from Henderson at Kennedy all the way down and traverses Manhattan to Gandy. So it is over 4 miles. So, and it's a vision plan. So this is the first of many steps to look at the corridor. So we're like, okay, what does the corridor want to do when it grows up? Like everything, not just a quick build kind of analysis like some of the other things we've done. So like I said, we went out, looked at the crash data. We pulled all the speeds and traffic counts and et cetera. There's a very excellent existing conditions analysis on the website. We met with our stakeholders. That's another fun fact about this corridor is that we have many of them because the road is entirely in the city of Tampa limits, who is the requester of the project's analysis, but not owned by them at all. So we have the Department of Transportation owning a significant segment of it, and then unincorporated Hillsborough owning and maintaining the other portion of it. But then it's in the city, so they have the design influence. So they're asking, what do we like to ask of our different jurisdictions to implement along the corridor? Potentially for a, taking over of it and a change in the interlocal agreement. Right now, I'm bringing it through committees and just giving you a big taste of what we're doing because we're kicking off our public engagement soon. So I'm going to invite you to that. And then we'll take all the recommendations from all of the sources and put it in a final report. And then, predictably, I'll come back to you, mention the existing conditions, lots of the stuff that went into it. It is a challenging quarter from land use perspective, I believe. As you do, that land use and transportation needs to work together on all of this stuff. So we have land use planners on the stakeholder committee too. It's an important corridor that has thought maybe I had my little image yet. Stakeholders also in it because we're like, oh, there are 5 schools, at least 5, and then a couple other private ones that are adjacent to the corridor. So we of course reached out, and Emily Hinsdale was out there sweating it out with us. And then Walk Back Tampa is many of them live near or on the corridor in the vicinity and are very involved in knowing what the community wants out there and follow it. So we've had them involved along in our stakeholder meetings. Told you we researched, it's part of a portion of it's part of the high injury network. We looked at the moves plan. We looked at all of the adopted and potential bike walk plans and bike boulevards and et cetera. Went out, studied it at night even for the lighting. Asking about, looked at all the stormwater projects that are proposed and being implemented along the corridor. Here you can kind of see the sprinkling of the little yellow dots for all the schools. So some of them are crossing the corridor, some of them are impacting the corridor for pickup and drop off. So when our field review was out there in May to ensure that we were out there to look at it prior to school being dismissed for the summer. So we observed arrival and drop off times at various times. Here's some highlights of our walking audit. I believe that you should always experience the corridor and something other than just a vehicle or dashboard. Many times we bicycle the entire area with 4 miles and a big stakeholder committee. We just drug mobility devices with us so that we can experience it as someone in a wheelchair or walker or scooter might. So we drug our wagon there along the corridor, and there are times when we had to go blocks out of the way. So a human would have had to go blocks out of the way to get to their destination. So we noted all of that and observations in the report too. And you can see some of the various users. We got to see some of the like flags and crossings challenges. It's we split it into 2 days, so we got lots of steps that day. We walked the north portion, both sides, and then the south portion, both sides. And we had the department and the city staff and our advocacy groups out there. We always look at all the bike ped facilities, the operations, the miscellaneous. It's all summarized in a really good report, as I mentioned. The traffic counts, we did specific and updated traffic counts of all modes as part of the scoping. Then we went to work, of course, and try to do recommendations early so we can get our stakeholders to respond to those and stuff. The corridor is huge. I'm going to fly through this pretty quickly because, again, it's all online and you'll have a copy of this PowerPoint and you'll have opportunity to digest it even more so during the public engagement. But as a 4-mile segment, we have to break it down by context and 9 different segments. So I'm going to go north to south. So we've got some of the existing conditions, one thing we noted was a big challenge right away. I said, City of Tampa's going to have to come up with some survey money, not like ask questions kind of survey, but the survey is from like 1941 or something. It does not match the real world. So it needs to be updated. So that's a unique challenge right there. So segment 2, and we're looking at like, oh, how would we like, maybe some intersection improvements, and Swan and Morrison here got some survey, some right-of-way issues. And so we're looked at like, oh, is our stakeholder okay if like maybe some eminent domain would have to work to get a vision plan, not a quick build, but a bit vision plan. But of course, we can't resist knowing budgets are usually faced, looking at some quick build ideas. Then here's some of our longer range vision ideas. But so, and you'll see at the charrette that we're kind of got the recommendations in 3 categories. We got like 3 little buckets: a pedestrian focused, a bicycle focused, and then a hybrid. And so that's what we're going to kind of ask is like, what segment works best for which portion of the corridor? Can we find one that works everywhere? This corridor has some very ginormous behemoth intersections that have 6 legs and very long signal timings when there's a signal present. So the drivers get very, misbehaving and impatient. And so a roundabout would help solve that in a safety and congestion movement. Maybe a series of the roundabouts throughout the corridor could help us address safety and performance. So there's going to be opportunity. We wouldn't put them at every single one, but like which one and which one might work, or is it a combination of some access management and we close a leg or 2? Which leg could we do? Because when we were spitballing out in the field, we're like, I don't know this leg, and Emily's like, no, that school uses that one. You're like, oh yay, that local context is going to really help us figure this out. So McGill to Santiago Street, product, like mid-block crossings, too straight, too long between opportunities to cross. And then that's, causes misbehavior on the pedestrians and bicyclists because they just want to crisscross wherever. So we want to identify where those make sense and take advantage of that really awesome existing median on the southern portion of the corridor. Here's more portions of Manhattan. So we go with the buffer bike lane, the wide walk, narrow bike lane, and a medium wide walk. These are the things. So here we are. I'm just letting you know we got all this great stuff done so far. We're going to have a charrette. It is on November 12th. So how I'm remembering it and telling people, it's like Veterans Day is on the 11th. The next day you're coming to the charrette. It's going to be on the corridor. So you will experience the corridor to and from the charrette. So it's at the Jan Platt Library. There's transit right there and ample parking, and you've got the big room reserved. So come visit. We'll have the roll plots of all of these 9 segments and the entire corridor out there. So roll up your sleeves and throw your comments and marker or Post-its on the roll plots. We're going to have the countermeasures that we're proposing. Some are, very accepted, and some are a little controversial and take a little bit of enrollment in the community and the champions and stuff. So we want to see what's the community think of these different.
What time?
So at 6:30. We're going to see that next. Okay. So, yeah, so here's a draft of the countermeasures. We're going to ask like dots and feedback on that. Which ones can they live with? Which ones are favorites? Which ones do they dislike? Here's some of the cross-section drafts. And like I said, we're going to have head focus, bike focus, and hybrid. Which one rises to the top? Which one makes most sense? Which one will work in the different contexts? Because like I said, it's a long corridor. And as you'll see in those cross sections and photos, part of why I have all the land use folks at the table is it's going to take some strong decision making with this code update and the comp plan changes. I'll have to marry up with this because there are cars using the travel lanes as their backup lane. Like they are parking right on the sidewalks, and that is the edge of the property, but it's clearly public right away, but the businesses are using it. So as the corridor matures as a big picture vision, you've got to have this redevelopment, not continue to perpetuate those issues. This flyer's in your agenda packets online. Okay, not everybody can make it on November 12th. We totally get that. So I've got a companion survey and feedback map virtually as well. Now, it's not live today. This is the teaser. We're in the fine tuning of it and getting it posted, but eminently it will be on there. So when you would go to the project website, all the documents that I mentioned today are there. The flyer is there. The opportunity to just send your comments directly to Lisa is there. And then momentarily, as soon as we get it finalized and approved, the survey and feedback map will be right there at the top too. So you can go on and give us your virtual post-its that way and answer the survey. And I'll ask Connor to blast it to you and harass you as soon as the e-blast goes out to invite the whole community. Tell your friends and neighbors. I want to thank Emily for being a valuable stakeholder in the development of the study. So come, comment, send it out to all your people. You know, make sure the South Tampa Chamber and Junior League and all those groups know about it, because I know they've been posting over the years about their concerns about the pool. We want to get all that folded into the final recommendations. So that concludes it. Bring your friends and neighbors. Kathy,
Do you know the daily trip count between Kennedy and Dale Mabry on Henderson? Assuming it's a lot.
Said 9,500. It's in a 208-page report for sure. It might not be that segment, may or may not be on this. Oops.
The FDOT's part of this, right? That helped you figure all this stuff out?
Daily traffic, roadway segment, 9,500 at the top, 2,300 at the southern end.
Yeah, because Manhattan gets giant. Like, it gets huge.
Right, and then we have like tested speeds, we have like portable speed, radar detectors, and we tested that, you know. I thought it'd be really like bad for speeds, but it wasn't too horrific, given that we have some lower counts here.
Was the roundabout concept, I'm sorry, was the roundabout?
Kind of spotty. So like it wasn't like a clear volume in different sections. It'd be high, then low, then high, then low. It's very.
Was FDOT on board with that roundabout concept? Or did
They-
they seem open to it? Cause it's Dale Mabry, right?
No,
Was that Dale Mabry?
was
Yeah.
it Zeal or something?
Watterson and Deal.
Watterson and Deal,
We
okay.
looked at 8 locations and we
Okay.
looked at like just
And
hitting
second round
from there to see what the impacts would be. So many,
Yeah,
can't swear that we have one sitting on Del Mabry, but
no, I didn't think so. I just,
We have-
wasn't sure. I didn't see
Yeah.
the street.
they found board with most all of the
Okay.
concepts. And then I did download and steal their cut sheet for roundabouts as a countermeasure, and then some other of the countermeasures that I had in that little graphic that we went feedback on. They had just sit through other e-blasts. I'm like, oh, right, well, here they go. They're promoting it, and I like list all the fun facts about them. So I thought that would be a lovely handout at the meeting.
If you wanted a real life reference, if you didn't see it, there, I grew up in Sarasota and there was a intersection downtown called 5 Points. It's still called 5 Points, but it's 5 Points roundabout.
Right.
Which was very difficult when it was a stoplight to know which
Right.
way people were gonna go. But now you just go around, there's 2 of them actually that have 5 intersecting streets. So it's a real life example. Buildings are up close. There's on-street parking. Some of it's been redeveloped because they used to back into the street.
Right.
But in your graphics, did you have? It looked like the cars were just
That's what I.
parked, but there was no back out.
Yeah, because that's the existing condition.
Right.
They're sitting right on the side. I mean, we had to go
No,
out.
I know that. It's just in the image, it looked like,
Looked like they were going over grass and trees to get out.
and through the sidewalk, yeah.
Yeah, it almost, to me, the existing condition looked better than the actual existing condition, which,
Yeah,
like, it's mostly all pavement in
yeah.
each
There's
segment, so.
there's no grass anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the existing condition.
Yeah, that,
So,
this is a good example.
Yeah, they're just backing over trees and stuff. And I think there was another one too. Where it
Yeah.
was,
like, there are no, like, in the vast majority of the core, there are no trees like that, so
No,
I don't
or
think we
grass.
should be,
Well,
like, under
there
existing
are
conditions.
further segment. I walked under, it was cooler that day because we were under.
Right, but you're showing the segment that is like
Yeah.
the worst of the worst, and then your existing is showing these lovely, I wish some of our streets looked like this, but To me, that was the disconnect that I
Okay.
saw.
Well, I'll
'cause-
double check the existing conditions here, but portions of it are like this. So-
Right, but then
How do they
I
get
would
out?
agree, I would agree,
Well, there's
there
a
are
couple.
in the north,
Oh, yeah,
but then
Okay.
the parking lot is not set up
all right.
like how it's shown there. So
Okay.
that's where I
Yeah.
thought there was a little, but
Yeah, yep. Okay. Emily?
I forgot I was gonna say.
I will,
I know, I'm sorry. It
Okay,
was in
go ahead.
response to your question about Dale Mabry. It would not be necessarily the same need for the roundabout because unlike some of those intersections that have 6 lanes, 6 different directions people are coming, it actually is only 2 because the 2 side, one of the streets is blocked off there.
If some
Yeah.
segments closed. But, yeah.
But definitely.
but
Rest
So
of
it's, it's this intersection.
I'm a fan of roundabouts everywhere,
Me
quite
too,
frankly.
me too,
Because
yeah.
there's been plenty of studies where they've taken 6-lane arteries and they've taken them down to 4-lane roundabouts through whole sections from suburbs to downtowns, North Carolina, I'm thinking of. And it didn't change people's timing. They got there just as quick. Because they were steadily driving 35, 45 miles an hour as opposed to 60, stop.
right.
60, stop. And it just became safer. So that's fine.
Allegedly, there was a
So-
really old roundabout Eddie
Yeah.
on the DOT portion, but
Our
that's
district.
all of a sudden, she'd seen
There
it. And there's too much staff turnover or they hid it or something. We cannot find it, but, so we did our own.
Omar?
Hey, yeah, so you mentioned on one of the slides, that we do have some part service on parts of the corridor. I just wanted to let you know if you needed like any like information on like the stops that are located on the corridor and, park staff, we're doing a bus stop inventory right now. We're like looking at the current conditions and we're always looking at chances for like, where bus stop improvement should go. So if you need any of that, we actually, I think we just surveyed the route 14 and 19, which might, I think, process some of these. So we can get you that information if that's at all helpful, just so we can see like
Sure.
what improvements and like just to coordinate on this going forward as well.
Coincidentally, I was at the Tampa Downtown Partnership Transportation Committee yesterday when Art was there sharing all this and they brought up the bus stops. I said, oh, I need to send you all my corridors that where we make recommendations to the bus stops. Like we
Yeah.
do have recommendations for these. They're shifted. They're not where people are crossing. So they're very tempted to just get off and scurry across. And we're like, maybe,
Yeah,
we don't want to mess with your standards, but we're like, maybe when they updated, they could shift it. So I had a note to share all those, but I will also share this and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's
feedback.
good. We try to put the stops like near safe crossings where we can, like, just to like incentivize people to use the crosswalks and like, people get off the bus, there's no crossing, they're more like just jaywalk. So it's just, yeah, if the study finds like moving any stops to near crosswalks or anything, that could be.
Right.
be helpful.
And
Yeah.
we look at accessibility to and from, because we look
Yeah,
beyond, where you guys look at the inventories or trash receptacle, is there the
Yeah, we
map?
have that.
And we look beyond it, because we're like, well, we were Arizona, how do we get to the bus?
Sure,
And
yeah.
stuff. So, on Sheldon and many of the other corridors, I need to share that with you guys now here.
Okay, thank you.
Ashley.
I appreciate your enthusiasm for this because I usually diagonal corridors cutting through a grid are some of our more iconic, better streets in kind of urban planning lore. This one is not.
Yeah.
And so I think that you're gonna be hit with a lot of NIMBYism during this process. And so I think having that enthusiasm and really shaping the narrative to make sure that we're reminding the residents of this corridor and the adjacent neighborhoods that Manhattan should be an iconic street. When you cut through a grid, that usually makes good outcomes, right? You just talk about things like a 5 points. That's usually when it actually enhances the pedestrian and placemaking realm. But I am concerned, right, that given this corridor and some of the South Tampa resistance to Vision Zero on other important corridors, I think keeping that messaging very high, that this is an elevated important space going in through South Tampa. That's something that I, as a committee member, will keep that energy up.
Yeah,
for
you too. Yeah.
We should be talking about Manhattan should be a very iconic street through South Tampa, getting into Tampa's downtown and connecting all the way really to St. Petersburg, really. It's one of the corridors to get you down there to our friends across the bay. But I also reticent of the fact that this is a big change for a port that I
and then people with a lot of feelings. Yes, so they've had a lot of feeling during the comp plan updating. That's why we were rebranded the Charette prior to the corridor workshop, because, you know, we're like, don't come throw things at me because I'm not the comp plan.
But it should be,
But
it's
it's
an
working
opportunity.
together.
Anytime you break the grid, that's usually in all the cities we all love. That's usually some of the most important, interesting green streets, right? If you break the grid. So I think that there's that opportunity to frame it that way.
Yeah, and the land use planners did respond to the feelings down there and adjust the recommendations for the corridor. So that's what we're projecting and reflecting.
And I'll just make a comment as a cyclist that quite frankly, I avoid South Tampa.
Yeah.
Like the bike groups that I'm a part of, even the really, really hardcore cyclists avoid South Tampa because there's just no safe way to do it. I don't expect that to change with this. So I know that people need to use bikes to get places, but this strikes me as the same thing as Kennedy, where
I said,
we probably shouldn't be, and I might, this might not be the information or the feedback that people want to hear, but at some roads just aren't great for cycling. Kennedy should not have a bike lane on it. Like that's just dangerous. We should be encouraging, parallel streets for that. This, because of how the parking is organized, not because we can't make this better. It's already dangerous for pedestrians, but as a cyclist, I cannot imagine cycling this just because of where the parking is and how the constant backing up. So I'm curious to see what we could do to improve that and how putting bike lanes on there would help.
That's the point of a vision plan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, we are trying to figure out what you
Yeah.
can do there. And while, yeah, it's not a great place to walk and bike, it is a place that people at least walk and bike across regularly in large groups every single day.
Yeah.
So that there are needs that need to be addressed here that are not addressed by this, which is the point of the vision. Turning it, and there's some bike facilities on there now, but the idea is that it could stretch the entire corridor rather than be spotty.
Okay.
It's a heavy walk bike
Yeah.
area all
Yeah.
around it. It's just an impediment right now rather than a connection.
Correct.
As you were saying, it should be an iconic, it should be like a Broadway in New York
Yeah.
City that is like carving out a space for people to get
Yeah.
through.
And so I think that's one of the things I'd love to see is how it connects to the way people are currently using it on a bike, whether it be passing through. Because you said people are biking around it. So how are we going to connect them to it in a way? And I know people use side streets, but yeah, I'd be really interested to see how we can make that connection. And I don't know how do we take out the parking that's just directly in, like right on the street? That's the part.
Well, again, it's a long-term vision, right?
Yeah.
We're not talking about going,
Tomorrow.
knocking on the door to a business tomorrow
No,
and saying,
no.
get rid of this. It's
But-
as these businesses change, how do you adjust their parking?
Yeah, that's,
Is there not all of those buildings are some of them are old and pretty crummy. They're not gonna last forever.
Yeah.
As there's change there, as there's development there, there's already like 2 huge development sites on this corridor. What if those had a vision plan in place so that they had parking that was appropriate for this corridor?
exactly. And I think that's good. Kathy?
I was just gonna say, these kinds of things always work best. Again, land use and transportation, when you actually have a CRA or some other type of funding that can go out and work. Eminent domain is the perfect example because then you get rid of all this stuff and rebuild. The second part of that though is even if you have the money to buy everything and rebuild, you're still dealing with the old code, the old zoning code.
Yeah.
What has to layer in to this is the regulation to make sure the new development that does come, because somebody might tear down one of those buildings, and guess where the parking is gonna wind up? It's gonna wind up in the front, and it's gonna be on that tiny little stretch. And there are gonna be triangle parcels that are gonna try to wedge a 3 or 4 story building into, and they're gonna get landscape waivers and all kinds of other stuff, and it blows what you're trying to do. It's really, this is a good thing to have as a vision, but I think you have to couple it with, well, changing the rest of the environment.
Yeah, but
End of it is recommendations.
until SB 180 is.
Vision.
Yeah, I
plan.
know.
I am working with the land use staff. They're working on the third at once every, I mean, it hasn't been updated in 30 years. So they're updating the code now. I'm kind of embedded in theirs and they're definitely embedded in mine.
It's not true.
I know as a result of that, they're doing a corridor focus and doing 5 pilots around the county. I volunteered our corridor, but they're like, oh, no, we've got this other one. So they have one very similar. So then they're looking at how to apply the code as it regards to corridors, because you can't look at them. I only look at the public right away and they only look at the private sector. We have to like do something better and together. So this is an attempt at that. I was just chatting with them last night about how it's going, because I'm like, oh, I want to get the wording correct in the recommendations for this final report. That maybe that is one of the next steps, is to take that pilot, if it's successful and adopted by city council, and apply it, the appropriate context one, to the portions of Henderson, Manhattan. So then that's the next step, because that addresses how does this redevelop and how do you do it? And it's big and complicated. This is not a tomorrow project. We're not doing this with paint. This is identifying and taking a bite out of it to like get it there, but it definitely needs to happen.
Yeah, on the land use side, I think, I think with the political dynamics down there, we've lost some of the kind of momentum that was probably going to be encouraging redevelopment of the next stage. Like, I always view it as, a city is evolving and becoming the next, like, you're going from rural to suburban to urban, basically. And that this corridor was, I think, more probably a year or two ago, more in a place where its future was a more urban kind of corridor. I do think due to the political dynamics down there, we're not going to get that probably in our lifetime so I do think the opportunities for redevelopment are probably a little less than they were, just because I would think market would be looking at like, ooh, it's tough. I've seen it. People are scared of South Tampa now. They don't even want to, I'd have to rezone. Like, I want to avoid this. So, that's going to be the challenge. Yes, you may get a couple buildings torn down. You ain't going to get a nice urban like store with restaurants. You're going to get Chick-fil-A, or another kind of auto-oriented use is probably going to end up there. Yes, maybe we can get rid of the pavement right to the sidewalk, but you're just going to get basically a sidewalk with some bushes and then parking. Like, it's not going to be this fundamental change. I think that maybe would have happened a couple of years ago. So there's my.
It's a little long range vision.
I know. The longer it goes, the less I'm likely.
Anyone else? Okay,
We're gonna be on the 12th.
yep, got it on that calendar. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so we are moving on. Oh,
I'm sorry, for this, or are you moving until business? Because
moving on
or whatever.
to old business.
Okay,
So-
that's where I have something to say.
Great.
I just wanted to invite everyone to Walk Bike Tampa's annual awards ceremony on November 6th at Shuffle. It is at, I think it's 5 p.m. But if you follow Walk Bike Tampa social media, you'll see that. I'm pretty sure it's 5 p.m. It will, as far as the awards go, be an LRC reunion. We will be recognizing a lot of our current and former members, so please join us. The tickets are free. There will be food provided, cash bar.
Yeah, November 6th at 5. Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
I
Connor.
have a few of everybody else. We did have a potential spot where we have a potential representative for neighborhoods, so that's great news. The TPO board will be approving their appointment at the next meeting as part of their consent agenda. And then also, you have some potential homework, optional, but highly encouraged. We have our work program, the FUT work program snapshot. which is an opportunity now to provide comments, and the TPO provides a letter of comments. So we just were able to draft the letter. We just received the snapshot very recently, so we weren't able to bring it to LRC for action. So what I'd like to do is send you the letter of comment and the snapshot, and you can email the comments that you have to me.
Well, in the email, if you could provide a deadline for
Okay.
when you need to receive comments and bold that.
That's for the two up top, right there. Or State Road, County Road 39, or.
Is that for
State Road
DNF?
39? In Hillsborough? Is that for these?
Oh, the work program?
Yeah,
No, so the work program is like what brings
it's
the
for
tip
everything,
into-
gotcha.
So it's their comments from the list of priority projects that we see in at the beginning of the summer, end of spring. So they take those, our list of priority projects, and turn it into a work program. This week, a snapshot of them.
Okay. Okay, any old, you said you had old
Yes,
business?
we've got the 43rd Annual Planning and Design Awards are at the Brian Glazer Family JCC on the Thursday, the 23rd. I think it starts at 5:30, I think, at 36.
Of October
Yes,
Okay.
next week.
at
5:30 at the Glazer Family
ACC.
on Howard.
Okay, Arizona.
Yeah, I have a little problem with the hotline and the data. I want to thank it to the board to let you guys know that we have a county convention. I don't know, I can't say his name. But he's trying to stop the sanitation going over the county. They only want to use it only in the city.
Yes.
But if you notice that there's a lot of people that live in the city have to go out to random where they go. They have to go to USF. If that what stop doing that, you're going to go away. A lot of people independent to go wherever they can go.
Yeah.
So somebody need to there's a meeting on Tuesday morning at 10 to 2 p.m. at the on 56 Pepin, the Pepin dinner.
Happened, okay.
They're gonna be talking about the Pepin.
So this coming Tuesday?
Yeah.
So that would be the 21st from 10 to 2 to talk about what would happen if the heart no longer was active in the county. There is a county commissioner that is interested in doing that. I believe there's also possibly a motion to go into the state legislative cycle.
Yeah, by all.
Yes, that's, yeah, from a former county commissioner here to end heart in the county or end heart, I think overall, just shut heart down and have the city of Tampa develop its own bus system.
The city then needs to just annex the county.
Yeah.
Be like Jacksonville.
Well, the interesting thing would be, honestly, to see. Right now, it's a thought. I don't know that there's even a companion in the Senate. I don't know how far it is. I'm actually going to meet with, the county commissioner who's proposed that to hear more about the plan. I will bring it during old business next time, just to talk about the possibility. Again, I haven't heard much from the state about it, so I don't know if it will get any actual traction. But we can.
But 2 years.
Yeah.
If it did, it takes about 2 years.
That will take about 2 years. Yeah.
It's
So,
and then I don't know if we have an answer to this, but if this did occur, the county could individually contract with Hart, right? Like, we'll say.
no,
they
no,
wanted
because
to-
there would be no heart.
Well, but-
the cities, so
Whatever this.
that is the idea of the vision is if that like the city of Temple Terrace could contract with, but I don't think that those entities realize how expensive that would be. Because right now it would not just be it wouldn't be, none of it would be, right now, there's some subsidy involved, but it would be the full cost. And I don't think that those cities nor the county would be able to bear that cost because it would be incredibly expensive, but I don't know that they've thought about that yet. So I think if nothing else, as people consider what that would be,
Well, would be a lot of people not getting paid.
Right.
yeah, it would not be a good thing for this county.
But the bill isn't to create like a alternative version of HART. It's just.
The county
the city-
wants out.
The city of Tampa would just run it, not a separate.
If they chose to, the county just wants out.
That means that you can only.
Well, certainly.
Yeah.
You can only.
So again, I'm gonna sit down and find out what their particular vision is. So I will bring that forward, because I don't think they have a set vision yet. But again, unfortunately with the state legislature, you just kind of have to figure out. I mean, this was talked about last year. It got no traction. I don't know that it will have any traction this year.
Who is coordinating the meeting on October 21st?
Do you know who's coordinating the Pepin Academy meeting?
No,
No.
but you have to online.
You have to go online to register to speak.
Go online where though?
Go online where?
I get a lot of these things.
Yeah, Connor will look it up, or I've got a couple people looking it up now, so.
But they would be a bad idea that they did the money. You won't be able to go to USF. You won't be able to go to Brandon. You won't be able to go to different TVs.
Yeah, it would pretty much take out.
I'll just say from the art perspective, if you go on our website, we have our mission statement, art takes people to the places that enhance their lives. It's kind of cheesy, but it's right there. But we're still doing that right now. Like, we're not pulling out right now. We're looking at everything. We're monitoring the situation, but there's no short-term plans to,
Stop anything.
To stop anything.
Good.
So I just want that to be clear.
Yeah.
And we're doing the internal work, we're looking at everything, we're monitoring everything. But there's no immediate changes right now to any parts or positions.
Good to know. Well, if we can find that, Connor, could you send it out? That way, everybody can know about it and then they can pass it on to other folks. Is there any other old business? Okay, any new business? I will just reiterate Karen's announcement about the bus. They're doing a pub crawl, and if you go to Transit Now Tampa Bay, which all of you should be following on social media, I believe it's on both Instagram and Facebook, to find out some of the events that they are still doing. We did pass that funding for Route 1. It won't be free in the next year. It will simply have additional frequency on nights and weekends. So it's about the same amount of money. Emily.
I should have mentioned earlier, sorry. National Walk to School Day was last week on October 8th. There were 35 schools around Hillsborough County that participated with us, which is a record for Hillsborough County and significantly up from where it was 10 years ago when there were like 9 or 10 schools that sometimes participated. We had a great celebration with Superintendent Van Ayers and Mayor Jane Castor at Sidewalk Stompers Founding School, which is celebrating its 100th birthday this year. So great to see that kind of growth in the Hillsborough County schools, and we'll make it bigger next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we are adjourned. See you next month.
I have some parking passes if anybody needs one.
That used to be 28, 6
Yeah.